Welcome to Science with Emmanuel. In this video, we are going to learn about support and movement in plants and animals. But before we continue, kindly consider subscribing and hit the notification button so that you don't miss on any new video we upload. Definition of terms. Support, this is the ability of an organism to bear its own mass or weight and maintain its body form. Movement, this is the process by which an organism displaces parts of its body or the whole of its body from one place to another. Then you have types of movement. Number one is locomotion. This is the process by which an organism displaces the whole of its body from one place to another. Then localized movement is the process by which an organism displaces parts of its body from one place to another. Level of movement in plants. Number one is a cellular level, e.g. swimming of the male gametes or sex cells in bryophytes and pteridophytes and growth of the pollen tube to bring about fertilization. And then organ level, e.g. tropic and nastic movements. Necessities for movement in plants. Number one is swimming of the male gametes in bryophytes and pteridophytes and growth of the pollen tube to bring about fertilization. Number two is nastic and tropic responses help plants to obtain resources from the environment such as water, light, and nutrients. Where movement also enables plants to escape harmful stimuli such as high temperatures. Necessity for support in plants. Support enables plants to withstand the forces in the environment. It enables plants to carry their mass and the mass of the animals that climb on them. Enables plants to withstand strong wind and storms. Helps in exposing leaves for photosynthesis. And lastly, enables for efficient gaseous exchange. On these two images, I have a climber which actually climb over other plants to reach sunlight without wasting energy on growing their own self-supporting shoots. Some climbers twine their stem in one particular direction, e.g. hops and honeysuckle coil clockwise, while bindweed and runner beans coil anti-clockwise. So they actually do this to gain support from other plants. So this is just an example of support or how support is helpful to plants. Transverse section of a monocot stem. Pause this video and draw the internal structure of a monocot stem. A transverse section of a monocot stem has vesicular bundle tissues, that is xylem and phloem. Xylem, which is used to transport mineral salts into water. Then phloem is used to transport food nutrients, manufactured food nutrients or product of photosynthesis. Then we have ground tissues. This is actually parenchyma, sclerenchyma, and collenchyma. Then lastly, we have the vascular bundles. Support tissues in plants. It includes parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, xylem vessels, and xylem tracheids. The parenchyma. Parenchymatous tissues is a storage tissue which helps in the storage of water and food. It is specialized tissue made of long and cylindrical cells. It helps in providing support by gaining water and becoming turgid. Collenchyma is found beneath the epidermis, similar in shape to the parenchyma cells, provides support to the plant due to the presence of cellulose. Sclerenchyma is found in close association with the vascular bantus, provides support to the plant due to the deposition of lignin, which is tough and rigid. Then lastly, xylem vessels and xylem tracheids. Xylem tissue helps in the transportation of the absorbed water up the plant. It is therefore a transport tissue. It also helps in providing support to the plant due to presence of lignin, i.e. they have thick lignified walls. The pattern of lignification varies, giving rise to various types of lignification. Let's look at wilting. This is the process by which a plant loses more water than absorbed water, causing the plant cells to become flaccid. Types of xylem vessels include pitted, annular, scleriform, reticulate, and spiral. Let us now look at support and movement in animals. Animals need support due to the fluid nature of their protoplasm. Multicellular animals require a rigid framework to support their bodies off the ground and to maintain their shape. This is performed by the skeleton. E.g. in these insects, they need skeleton to support their body off the ground. A human skeleton also forms a framework for support. Importance of support and movement in animals. Movement enables the organism to obtain food, shelter, and mate. Enables animals to escape predators. Enables animals to escape harsh and hostile environmental conditions. Support. Support, on the other hand, helps in the maintenance of the body shape, helps in supporting the body off the ground, and forms a rigid framework for the body against forces such as compression and tension. Functions of the skeleton. Number one is support. The skeleton forms a rigid framework for the body against forces such as compression and tension. This helps the body to maintain its body shape and supporting the body off the ground. Number two is protection. The skeleton offers protection to the delicate internal organs against physical injury. The skull protects the brain, the vertebral column protects the spinal cord, while the rib cage protects the lungs and the heart. Attachment of the skeletal muscles provides points for the attachment of the skeletal muscles, which contract and relax, bringing about movement. Production of white blood cells and red blood cells is also a function of skeleton. The white and the red bone marrow produce the white and the red blood cells respectively. Skeleton also acts as levers by which the body moves. Long bones, such as the femur and humerus, act as levers by which the body moves. Storage of calcium and phosphorus provides shock for absorbing mechanism. Types of skeleton. Number one is exoskeleton, hydroskeleton or hydrostatic skeleton, endoskeleton, hydroskeleton. This is a type of skeleton consisting of a fluid under pressure. The fluid is surrounded by circular and longitudinal muscles. This type of skeleton is found in soft-bodied organisms, e.g. earthworms. This enables them to move and burrow into the soil. Exoskeleton. This is a type of skeleton found on the outside of the organism and is made up of chitin secreted by the epidermis. It is sclerotized and hardened with proteins. It is found in the phylum Arthropoda, mainly in the class Insecta. Function of the exoskeleton. It is impervious, impermeable to water, and therefore protects the animal from dehydration or desiccation. Provides protection against microbial infection. Provides protection against mechanical injury. Provides point for muscle attachment and movement. Supports the body off the ground, i.e. support tissues and organs. Point to note. The exoskeleton prevents increase in the size of the organism and therefore it must shed periodically, a process called molting or ecdysis. Endoskeleton. This is a type of skeleton which is internal to the muscle. It is made up of bones and cartilage. It is found in the vertebrate. It is made up of living tissues. So let's look at the differences between a bone and a cartilage. A bone is rigid, a cartilage it is flexible. A bone has calcium and phosphorus deposits which make it very hard. A cartilage lacks calcium and phosphorus deposits, hence not very hard. A bone is made up of bone cells called osteoblasts, and cartilage is made up of chondroblast cells. Therefore, phosphorus confers toughness, while calcium confers hardness. Movement in an insect. Some insects walk, others fly, others jump. Walking is achieved by the coordinated activity of the legs in an insect. An insect's legs consist of hollow tubes whose walls are made up of exoskeleton. The first part of the leg, called the coxa, is joined to the body by a ball and socket joint. All other parts are hinge joints. Movement is brought about by the extensor and flexor muscles, which contract and relax antagonistically. The flying insects use wings. Flying is controlled by direct and indirect muscles. We call them elevators and depressors. Draw the structure of an insect's hind leg and the flight muscles. Let's look at finned fish. A fish has fins: dorsal fin, pelvic fin, pectoral fin, it has anal fin and caudal fin, and apart from that it has a lateral line and gills. Locomotion in finned fish. Locomotion in a finned fish is brought about by side-to-side movement of the tail. This is due to the relaxation and the contraction of the antagonistic muscles on the right and left side of the tail. These muscle groups are called myotomes. Movement of the tail on one side pushes water sideways and backwards. The backward push creates a forward reaction that pushes the fish forward. The sideway push on the water creates a sideway reaction in the opposite direction that tends to push the fish sideways. This reaction is cancelled when the tail moves in the other side, hence the tail movement propels the fish forward on a straight course. Adaptation of the fish to its movement. Has a streamlined body. This reduces friction between the water and the fish, hence reducing resistance to the flow in the water. Has scales that overlap backwards. This reduces the friction, enabling the fish move in water with little drag. It has a lateral line, acts as a sense organ detecting vibration in the water and detecting changes in the pressure. This enables the fish to respond suitably, hence helps in escaping predators and strangers. It has an inflexible head. This helps in maintaining a forward thrust. Has a swim bladder. This is an air-filled cavity which helps in maintaining buoyancy. This enables the fish to adjust its vertical position in relation to the depth of water. The fish also has muscle block called myotomes. These contract and relax, causing the undulating movement or anquilliform movement. It has a flexible backbone and strong tail muscle. These contract and relax, causing the tail to move sideways against water. The fish also has mucus covering on the body surface. This reduces the friction between the water and the fish. It also reduces evaporation of water and entry of microorganisms. The fish has paired fin, i.e. pelvic and pectoral fins. These fins are used for 1. Maintaining balance, 2. Braking, 3. Changing direction, and 4. Controls pitching. This is when the fish plunges head first into the water. It has unpaired fins apart from the paired fins, and these unpaired fins include anal, ventral, dorsal, and caudal fin. Caudal fin is used for the forward propulsion and steering. Dorsal and ventral fin prevent the fish from rolling and yawing. So let's look at rolling. Rolling, this is the turning of the body of the fish about its own axis. And yawing, this is the lateral deflection of the body of the fish during swimming. Describe how a finned fish, such as a tilapia, moves in water. Here's the answer. Movement in a finned fish in water is by swimming. It involves forward movement and control of the body position in water. Mucus, scales overlapping backwards, streamlined body stroke shape reduces friction to enhance forward movement. Forward or propulsion is caused by the tail. The tail is long to create enough force for propulsion. Propulsion is achieved when the tail pushes sideways against the water. Sideways movement is brought about by muscles arranged in segmental blocks we call myotomes on both sides of the vertebral column. The muscle contract alternatively and agonistically, causing the vertebral column to swing sideways. When the muscles on the right relax, those on the left contract, and the body bends to the left. When the muscles on the left relax, those on the right contract, and the body bends to the right. The fish uses its fins to control the position of its body in water. During forward movement, the paired fins, pectoral fins, and pelvic fins lie flat on the side of the body to reduce friction or resistance. To change direction, the fish uses the paired fins. The fish also uses the paired fins to change its level in water or control pitching or prevent pitching. The fish spreads out the pectoral and the pelvic fins at 90 degrees or right angle to the body to enable it to break. The fish can also use the swim bladder to change its level in water. When the bladder fills up with air, the fish becomes lighter and more buoyant, making it to rise in water. When the air leaves the swim bladder, the fish becomes heavier and more dense, making it to sink deeper into the water. Water currents may also cause the sideways swaying of the body of the fish or yawing. The dorsal fin, ventral fin, and the anal fin prevent the rolling and yawing of the fish in water. Quote of the day. In education, it isn't how much you have committed to memory or even how much you know. It is being able to differentiate between what you do know and what you don't know. It is knowing where to go to find out what you need to know, and it's knowing how to use the information you get. By William Feather. Support and movement in mammals. This is brought about by muscles and bones. The mammalian skeleton comprises of axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton consists of the skull, the sternum, ribs, and vertebral column. Two parts of skeleton: axial, which comprises of skull, ribs, sternum, and vertebral column. We have a appendicular skeleton that consists of pectoral girdle, pectoral limb or arm, pelvic girdle, and pelvic limb or leg. The skull is also called the cranium. It is made up of many small bones joined together to form immovable joints called sutures or sutures. It is also comprises of the upper jaw or maxilla and the lower jaw, mandibles. The maxilla is fused to the cranium while the lower jaw articulates with the cranium, forming a hinge joint which is movable. There are perforations on the cranium such as the foramina and fissures to allow nerves, blood vessels, and the lymph vessels to pass through to and from the brain. At the posterior of the cranium are two smooth projections called occipital condyles, which articulates with the first bone of the vertebral column called atlas to form a hinge joint. This allows for the nodding of the head. This is a diagram that shows a human skull, both lateral view and frontal view. And you can see it has frontal bone, the dorsal bone, we have the maxilla, we have the occipital bone, we have the mandibles, and the parietal bone. Functions of the skull. It encloses and protects the brain, protects the olfactory organs, eyes, and the inner and middle ear. The vertebral column. The vertebral column, it consists of bones called the vertebra. The number of the vertebra varies from species to species. There are 33 vertebrae in the human skeleton. The vertebrae are placed end to end and therefore run from the base of the skull to the pelvis. The bones are separated from each other by cartilage called intervertebral disc. Function of the vertebral column. It supports the trunk, protects the spinal cord. This is a human skeleton with vertebral bones. We have the skull, we have the ribs, sternum, radius. They are both the appendicular and the axial skeleton. So the human skeleton, the entire of it, it consists of the cranium or the skull. We have the vertebra, we have the ribs, we have the sternum, we have radius, ulna, we have femur, we have the patella, we have the tibia and fibula, and the talus. So this image shows the anterior and the posterior view of the skeletal system. This is the spinal cord and the vertebral column. Now the vertebral column consists of the cervical vertebra, which are actually 8 in total, 8 cervical bones. We have the thoracic vertebra that consists of 12 thoracic bones. Then we have the lumbar region that consists of 5 lumbar bones or lumbar vertebral bones. And then the sacrum that consists of 5 sacrum bones. And the basic or the typical vertebral bone, it actually consists of the body, the spinal nerve. We have the bone of the vertebra there. We have the white matter, the gray matter, which shows the spinal cord, the pia mater, the arachnoid, the dura mater. The basic structure of a vertebra is the basic structure of a vertebra that consists of spinous process or the neural spine. It has vertebral foramen. We have the articular facets, lamina, we have the pedicle, we have the transverse foramen and the transverse process. So these are cervical vertebra with a superior view. Functions of parts of a vertebra. A vertebra has what we call a centrum that supports the weight of the vertebra and the entire vertebral column. We have the neural arc that encloses the neural canal. We have the transverse process that provides the surface area for the attachment of the skeletal muscles and ligaments. Then we have the neural canal that allows for the passage of the spinal cord. We have the neural spine, which provides the surface area for the attachment of the skeletal muscles and ligaments. The articular facets, there are 4 in number. 2 are found in the anterior and are known as prezygapophyses, while 2 are found at the posterior and are known as the postzygapophyses. Then the articular facets that articulates with other vertebra. Functions of intervertebral disc. The intervertebral disc acts as a cushion that absorbs shock, reduces friction between bones, makes the vertebral column flexible by allowing for certain degree of movement between the vertebra. Types of vertebra: we have cervical vertebra, thoracic vertebra, lumbar vertebra, sacral vertebra, coccyx or coccygeal vertebra. So this diagram shows types of vertebra. So you can see cervical vertebra that consists of 7 bones or 7 cervical vertebra bones. We have a thoracic region that consists of 12 thoracic vertebral bones, and then in the lumbar region we have a lumbar vertebral bone consisting of 5 lumbar bones. Then we have the sacral that consists of 5 sacral vertebral bones. Then lastly we have the coccyx. The cervical vertebra. These are the bones, vertebra, found at the neck region. There are 7 in number in human beings. The first bone of the cervical vertebra is called the atlas, and the second one is called the axis. Let's start with the atlas. This is the atlas bone, which is the first cervical bone. It has very broad facets, then vertebral canal, then ligaments of atlas. It has ligaments there. So it has very broad centrum, very broad centrum, simply to increase surface area for attachment of the neck muscles. So the vertebral canal, it has a very large facets to increase surface area for attachment of neck muscles, very wide neural canal to allow the spinal cord to pass through, as you can see on this diagram. So this is the same bone. We have the transverse process, which is actually also very broad. You can see it. We actually increase surface area for attachment of muscles. So it has very broad facets or surface for the articulation with the condyles of the skull to form a hinge joint, which allows for nodding of the head. And then it has a small neural spine. Then it also has no centrum. It lacks prezygophyses and postzygophyses. That is the atlas. So it has broad and wing-like transverse process to offer large surface area for the attachment of the neck muscles also. It has a wide neural canal for the passage of the large spinal cord of the neck and has vertebrotaral canals. Point to note, the wide neural canal of the atlas also fits into the odontoid process of the axis to form what we call a pivotal joint. So that is the axis bone, and this is the atlas, and this is the odontoid process. Let's look at the characteristics of the axis. It has a broad neural spine, has a wide neural canal, has wing-like transverse process, has a broad centrum which projects in front to form an odontoid process. Now the odontoid process forms a peg which fits into the neural canal of the atlas, forming a joint which allows the turning or rotatory movement of the head. It lacks presygapophysis, has vertebrotarial canal. The axis has odontoid process that forms a peg which feeds into the neural canal of atlas, which forms a joint that allows rotatory movement of the head. It actually has a neural spine and vertebrotarial canal. Characteristics of cervical vertebra. They have a short neural spine, has a small but wide centrum, has a wide neural canal, has vertebrotarial canals for the passage of blood vessels into a vertebral artery. They have a broad and branched transverse process, has the presygapophysis and the post-zygapophysis. This is its anterior view on the side view. So this image shows a cervical vertebra, the first cervical bone, atlas, that articulates with the occipital cortex of the skull. And the second cervical vertebra is axis, whose odontoid process has a peg that actually fits into the neural canal of the atlas. The thoracic vertebra. It is found in the thoracic region, articulating with the ribs. There are 12 in number in human beings. Characteristics include: 1. It has a long neural spine which offers a large surface area for the attachment of back muscles. It has a large centrum, and on its side are capitulum demifacet. Then it has short transverse process, and on them are rounded projection called tubercular facets. Point to note: tubercular facet on each transverse process articulates with the tuberculum of the rib, and a capitular demifacet on the centrum which articulates with the capitulum of the rib. This is the neural spine, and that is the tuberculum and the capitulum demifacets. The lumbar vertebra. There are 5 in number in human beings. It is found in the lumbar region of the body. Characteristics: it has a large and broad centrum to offer support, has a broad neural spine, has a long and broad transverse process to provide a large surface area for the attachment of abdominal muscles. It has metapophyses on either side of the neural spine and anapophyses near the transverse process, and hyperpophyses which offers additional surface area for the attachment of abdominal muscles. Function of the lumbar vertebra. It is actually to bear stress due to the effect of locomotion and the force of gravity. It provides support and allows the body to bend sideways and rotate. It also provides surface for the attachment of abdominal muscles. The sacral vertebra. It is found in the sacral region of the body. There are 5 in number in human beings. Characteristics include: number 1, have large and broad centrum to offer support, have narrow neural canal, they have reduced neural spine, The first anterior sacral vertebra is large with wing-like transverse process which articulates with the pelvic girdle. The vertebrals are fused to form a rigid structure called sacrum. This makes the sacrum firm to bear the body weight and spread it to the legs through the pelvic girdle. So this shows a sacral bone. It has a sacral canal and dorsal sacral foramina, spinous tubercles, and then the coccyx tailbone. The caudal vertebra or coccygeal vertebra. It is found in the tail region. The number differs from one animal to another depending on the size of the tail. In human beings, there are 4 caudal vertebrae which are fused to form a coccyx. Characteristics is that they have reduced neural spine, have reduced zygapophysis, neural canal is absent, neural arc is absent, the centrum is very large, i.e. makes the entire bone. Thank you for watching. See you again on Science with Emmanuel. If you like my videos, kindly consider subscribing and hit the notification button so that you're notified every time I upload new video. See you again on Science with Emmanuel.